They laughed at the crippled boy who crawled. They called him useless, forgotten, invisible. But one day, that same crippled boy, the one nobody believed in, saw a vision that would save the life of a billionaire's daughter. And when the world finally stopped to look at him, they didn't see a cripple anymore. They saw a miracle. Hello besties, welcome to Folktale Princess channel. Kindly subscribe to our channel and tell us where you're watching from in the comment section. The sun burned hot over Lagos that afternoon. Cars honked. Conductors shouted. People rushed past without noticing the small boy crawling by the roadside. Daniel moved slowly on his hands, dragging his legs behind him as he balanced a small bowl of pure water on his head. His palms were rough from crawling every day on the hot tar. Dust stuck to his sweaty face, and his lips were dry. But still, he smiled. Pure water. 50 naira, he shouted, his voice weak but full of life. Some people looked away. Others laughed. A group of schoolboys pointed at him and said, "See that boy way no fit walk. Nah so him go crawl forever." Daniel stopped and looked at them. He didn't say a word. He just smiled sadly and whispered under his breath, "God knows why." He moved on, ignoring their laughter. His mother always told him, "Don't answer them, my son. You're more than what they see." Every evening, when he returned home, his knees would bleed, but he never complained. Their small wooden house at the edge of the market was quiet except for the soft hum of his mother's prayers. That day, as he sat outside resting, a sudden flash crossed his mind, bright lights, a car, and someone crying inside. He gasped and touched his chest. He didn't know what it meant, but it felt real, like something was about to happen. Daniel closed his eyes and whispered, "God, what are you trying to show me?" A cold wind blew gently across the dusty street. Somewhere in the distance, a horn echoed. The same sound he had heard in his vision. He didn't understand it then, but that moment would soon change everything. The next morning, the sound of roosters mixed with the noise of early traffic. Daniel woke up before sunrise, as he always did. His mother, Mary, was already outside roasting corn on her small charcoal stove. The smoke rose into the air, making her cough softly. "Morning, Mama," Daniel said, crawling out of their small wooden house. She turned and smiled, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Morning, my son. You slept well?" Daniel nodded. His arms still ached from crawling all day before, but he didn't want her to see his pain. "Yes, Mama. I'm fine." He reached for the bowl of pure water and placed it on his head carefully. Before he left, Mary touched his shoulder and said gently, "Remember, my son, you're not a mistake. Don't let them break you." Daniel smiled weakly. "I won't, Mama." He crawled out into the busy street again. The sun had barely risen, but the road was already alive. Cars moving fast, people rushing, horns blaring. At the junction, he set down the bowl for a moment to catch his breath. His arms trembled from the weight. Just then, two boys passing by began to mock him. "See Daniel the Crawler, prophet of crawling," one shouted. Another laughed loudly. "Abba, you go see vision for us today?" The people around chuckled. Daniel looked down, pretending not to hear. His heart ached, but he didn't show it. He only whispered, "God, give me strength." As he continued selling, a small boy ran up to him with pity in his eyes and dropped a 10 naira note in his hand. "Uncle, buy food," the child said. Daniel smiled, a weak but genuine smile. "Thank you, my friend." He didn't know that little act of kindness would be the only gentle thing that happened to him that day. Because later, when the sun grew hotter and the dust thicker, another flash hit him, stronger than before. This time, he saw a girl's face clearly. She was crying inside a car that was filling with water. Her hand was pressed against the window, begging for help. Daniel gasped and dropped the bowl of water. The sachets burst open, spilling everywhere, but he didn't care. He could feel her fear. He could hear her voice. And deep inside, he knew that girl was real. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. He lay on his thin mat, staring at the ceiling as rain poured heavily outside. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the same image, a girl trapped in a car, water rising fast, her hand pressed against the glass. He sat up, sweating. "Why do I keep seeing her?" he whispered. His mother, Mary, turned on her mat. "Daniel, what is it again?" "Mama, I saw somebody," he said softly. "A girl. She's in danger. I saw her crying inside a car, like she's about to die." Mary looked at him quietly, worry filling her eyes. "My son, maybe it's just dream. You're tired." Daniel shook his head.
No, Mama.
"It's not just dream. I feel it inside. Something bad is going to happen." The rain kept falling, tapping against their zinc roof like tiny drums. Mary sighed and touched his shoulder. "Then pray, my son. If God is showing you something, he'll tell you what to do." Daniel nodded and closed his eyes. He whispered a short prayer, his voice trembling. "God, please don't let her die." At that moment, thunder struck outside, and Daniel felt a chill run through his body. He didn't know her name. He didn't know where she was. But he knew one thing. His vision was real. And before the week would end, that same girl would cross his path in a way that would change both their lives forever. Across the city, the morning sun touched the tall white gates of a mansion in Victoria Island. Inside, everything sparkled. Marble floors, gold curtains, and expensive cars parked neatly in the compound. But Grace, the only daughter of Mr. Richard, sat by her window quietly. She looked out at the ocean, her eyes empty. Her 18th birthday was just days away, yet she felt nothing but sadness. Since her mother died, laughter had left the house. Her father was always in meetings, always busy, trying to fill the silence with money. That morning, a maid entered softly. "Madam Grace, your father says get ready. You people will travel to Abuja this weekend." Grace nodded slowly. "Okay." When she was alone again, she picked up her late mother's necklace and held it tight. "Mom, why does everything feel so cold now?" she whispered. Downstairs, Mr. Richard was already on his phone, giving instructions to his driver. "Make sure the cars are serviced and the security team ready by Friday," he said firmly. He thought the trip would make Grace happy, a new city, new people, new memories. But what he didn't know was that the road they planned to take was the same one Daniel had seen in his vision. And fate was already moving to bring them together. The next day, Daniel was back on the road. The sun was harsh, and the ground felt hotter than usual. His knees burned as he crawled, but he pushed on, whispering prayers under his breath. He tried to forget the dream, but it wouldn't leave him. Every time he blinked, he saw the girl's terrified face. At the junction, some boys from the area started laughing again. "Daniel the Crawler," one shouted. Another added, "Prophet of bad dreams." People around joined in, clapping and laughing as if it was a show. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to cry, but held the tears. He simply said, "God sees me," and kept moving. Just then, something strange happened. A flash of light crossed his eyes. Everything went quiet. He saw a black car speeding through water, the same number plate from before, ABC 217D. Inside the car, the same girl screamed for help. Daniel gasped and dropped the bowl of pure water. His hands shook. The sachets burst on the ground, water spilling everywhere. He looked around, scared and breathless. "It's her again," he whispered. "God, what do you want me to do?" Deep inside, he felt one thing clearly: if he didn't act soon, that girl would die. Daniel didn't wait. He crawled straight to the nearest police post, his hands and knees bleeding, his breath heavy. When he got there, 2 officers were sitting outside, drinking Coke and laughing. "Please," Daniel said, panting. "There's going to be an accident. A girl will die inside a black car. The number is ABC 217D. The officers looked at each other and burst out laughing. "Small boy, are you dreaming again?" one said. "Go home, I beg. We no get time for story." Daniel shook his head. "I'm not lying, sir. I saw it twice." The second officer waved him off. "Go and rest your brain. Na hunger day worry you." Tears filled Daniel's eyes as he turned away. His heart pounded hard. He wanted to scream, but no one would listen. He went home and told his mother everything. Mary's face went pale. She held his hands tightly. If God showed you this, then he'll show you what to do next. Daniel nodded weakly. Mama, I'm scared. She touched his cheek softly. Courage, my son. Even if they don't believe you, do what is right. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Every time thunder rolled, he saw the girl's face again. By morning, he had made up his mind. He would find that car himself. The next afternoon, Daniel sat by the roadside, watching every car that passed. His knees hurt, but he refused to move. He was waiting for the black car from his vision. The sun was hot, and the smell of dust filled the air. His mother had begged him to rest, but he couldn't. Mama, he had said, if I don't try, someone will die. Hours passed. Then suddenly, a line of shiny black cars appeared in the distance. Daniel's heart began to race. As they came closer, he saw it, the same number plate, ABC 217D. He froze for a moment, then crawled into the road waving his hands.
Stop. Please stop, he cried.
The first car honked loudly. The driver shouted, Are you mad? Get out of the road. But Daniel didn't move. Please don't travel today, he shouted again, his voice shaking. Something bad will happen. Inside one of the cars, Grace looked through the window. She saw the crippled boy covered in dust, his face full of fear and tears. For a moment, their eyes met. Something about his eyes made her chest tighten. She felt he wasn't lying. Her father, sitting beside her, frowned. Ignore him. Let's go. The driver drove off, leaving Daniel sitting in the middle of the road, crying softly. He watched the convoy disappear and whispered, God, please protect her, please. Rain started to fall not long after the convoy left. The sky turned dark, and thunder rolled like angry drums. Grace sat quietly in the back seat, still thinking about the crippled boy who had shouted for them to stop. His face wouldn't leave her mind. His eyes, the fear in them felt real. Daddy, she said softly, maybe we should wait till the rain stops. Mr. Richard glanced at her. Don't worry, my dear. The driver knows this road well. But the rain got heavier. The wipers moved fast, yet the road ahead was blurry. Suddenly, Grace gasped. Daddy, look. Before the driver could react, a tanker coming from the opposite lane lost control. It swerved wildly, hitting the divider. Cars ahead crashed into one another. Sparks flew. Screams filled the air. Brake. Brake now. Mr. Richard shouted. The driver slammed the brakes. The convoy screeched to a stop, just a few meters before the tanker exploded. A loud blast shook the road, flames rising into the sky. Grace clung to her father, shaking. Daddy, that boy, he warned us. Mr. Richard's face went pale. He remembered Daniel's desperate voice and whispered, Dear God, that crippled boy saved us. That night, the story spread across Lagos. Crippled boy's warning saves billionaire's daughter. It was on every radio and social media page. People gathered in small groups talking about the boy who saw the future. But in his small wooden house, Daniel didn't even know. He was sitting quietly beside his mother, still worried. Mama, he whispered, I hope she's safe. Before Mary could answer, the sound of car engines filled the street. Bright headlights stopped right in front of their house. Daniel froze. Then a tall man stepped out. It was Mr. Richard. Behind him stood Grace, holding an umbrella, her eyes full of tears. Mary quickly stood. Sir, good evening. Mr. Richard's voice shook as he spoke. Are you the boy who tried to warn us? Daniel nodded slowly. Yes, sir. The billionaire's eyes softened. He went down on one knee in the muddy ground. You saved my only child. From today, you're not just Daniel. You are my son, too. Grace came closer, tears rolling down her cheeks. She knelt beside Daniel and hugged him gently. Thank you, she whispered. You saved my life. Weeks passed and Daniel's life changed completely. Mr. Richard kept his promise. Daniel was taken to the best hospital in Lagos. After several surgeries and therapy, he stood on his own feet for the first time. His mother cried when she saw him walk. My son, she whispered, God has done it. Daniel smiled through his tears. Mama, I can walk. Grace was there too, clapping and laughing. She had become his closest friend. Sometimes she visited the hospital with gifts and books. Every time Daniel saw her, he remembered the vision that started it all. Months later, they opened a small foundation together, the Vision Home, to help children living with disabilities. Cameras flashed as Daniel gave his first speech. His voice trembled, but his heart was full. They laughed when I crawled, he said softly, but God saw where I was going. My pain became my purpose. The crowd stood up and clapped, some wiping tears from their eyes. Grace smiled proudly beside him. As the evening sun touched his face, Daniel looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, God, for choosing me." And for the first time, he felt truly free, not because he could walk, but because he finally understood why he was born. And that, dear friends, is the story of Daniel, the boy they laughed at, but whom God used to save a life. Broken heart sparkles. Sometimes, the people the world looks down on are the ones carrying the biggest miracles. Never mock anyone's struggle, because pain often hides purpose. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away. Like this video to support more inspiring stories. Subscribe to Folktale Princess for more emotional tales that remind us that kindness, faith, and destiny still exist in this world. Comment, "I believe in miracles," if you believe that every life has a purpose, no matter how broken it seems. Thank you for watching, dear family. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, every story has a reason.